Eggs, a nutritional powerhouse or a hidden health risk? Examining the benefits and concerns surrounding one of nature's most complete foods by AZLAN, MA. Tuesday, 4th of August, 2026. Introduction. The humble egg under scientific scrutiny. Few foods have generated as much nutritional debate as the humble egg. For decades, eggs were praised as an inexpensive, nutrient-dense source of high-quality protein. Yet they have also been criticized because of their cholesterol content, and more recently, because of concerns surrounding compounds such as choline and their possible conversion into trimethylamine N oxide, TMAO, a molecule associated with cardiovascular disease risk. The controversy surrounding eggs reflects a broader challenge in nutrition science. Foods are complex biological packages. An egg is not simply a container of cholesterol, nor is it merely a source of protein. It contains a wide range of nutrients, some potentially beneficial, and others requiring careful consideration, depending on an individual's health status, genetics, overall diet, and lifestyle. Rather than presenting eggs as either a superfood or a dangerous food, it is more useful to examine the evidence surrounding their nutritional advantages and possible disadvantages. #the nutritional advantages of eggs. A complete source of high-quality protein. One of the strongest arguments in favor of eggs is their protein quality. Egg protein contains all 9 essential amino acids required by the human body. These amino acids cannot be produced internally and must come from the diet. Because of their favorable amino acid profile and high digestibility, egg proteins are often used as a reference standard when comparing the quality of other protein sources. A typical large egg provides approximately 6 to 7 grams of protein, divided between the egg white and the yolk. The white contains mainly albumin, a highly digestible protein, while the yolk contains a mixture of proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals. Protein from eggs contributes to maintenance and repair of muscle tissue, production of enzymes and hormones, immune system function, preservation of muscle mass during aging. For people who struggle to obtain sufficient protein, eggs provide a convenient and relatively affordable option. However, protein quality alone does not determine whether a food is beneficial overall. The accompanying nutrients and metabolic effects must also be considered. Essential nutrient or potential concern. Eggs are among the richest dietary sources of choline, a nutrient that plays several important roles in the body. Choline is required for formation of cell membranes, production of acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter involved in memory and muscle function, normal liver function, development of the nervous system. One large egg can provide roughly 25 to 30% of the recommended daily intake of choline, depending on the nutritional standards used. However, choline has also become part of the debate surrounding eggs, because intestinal bacteria can metabolize choline into a compound called trimethylamine, TMA. The liver then converts TMA into trimethylamine N oxide, TMAO. Some studies have found that higher blood levels of TMAO are associated with increased cardiovascular disease risk. The proposed mechanism is that TMAO may influence processes such as cholesterol metabolism, inflammation, arterial plaque formation. However, an important distinction must be made. An association between higher TMAO levels and disease does not automatically prove that eating eggs causes cardiovascular disease. The relationship is complicated because TMAO levels are influenced by many factors, including gut microbiome composition, kidney function, overall dietary pattern, consumption of other TMA-producing foods, including some types of meat and seafood. Some researchers argue that TMAO may be a marker of underlying metabolic differences rather than a direct cause of disease. Therefore, the choline TMAO pathway remains an area of active scientific investigation. The cholesterol debate. Does eating eggs raise blood cholesterol? Perhaps the most controversial aspect of eggs is their cholesterol content. A large egg yolk contains approximately 180 to 200 milligrams of cholesterol. For many years, dietary cholesterol was believed to directly raise blood cholesterol levels and increase heart disease risk. However, modern nutritional research has shown that the relationship is more complex. The human body produces cholesterol naturally, mainly in the liver. When dietary cholesterol intake increases, the body often compensates by reducing its own cholesterol production. For many healthy individuals, eating eggs produces only a modest change in blood cholesterol levels. However, people respond differently. A proportion of the population are considered hyperresponders, meaning they experience a greater increase in blood cholesterol after consuming dietary cholesterol. Factors influencing response include genetics, insulin sensitivity, body composition, existing metabolic health, the overall composition of the diet. LDL cholesterol, HDL cholesterol, and egg consumption. Blood cholesterol is not a single entity. Different forms have different roles. Low-density lipoprotein, LDL cholesterol, is commonly described as bad cholesterol because elevated levels are associated with increased risk of atherosclerosis, the buildup of fatty deposits within arteries. High-density lipoprotein, HDL cholesterol, is often called good cholesterol because it participates in reverse cholesterol transport, helping move cholesterol away from tissues. Studies examining egg consumption have produced mixed findings. Some research suggests moderate egg intake has little effect on cardiovascular risk in healthy populations. Some studies suggest that higher egg consumption may be associated with increased risk among people with diabetes or existing metabolic problems. Other studies suggest that eggs can be included safely within an overall healthy dietary pattern. The important point is that eggs are rarely eaten in isolation. The foods eaten alongside eggs may strongly influence health outcomes. For example, an egg eaten with vegetables, whole grains, and a healthy fat source represents a very different dietary pattern from eggs regularly consumed with processed meats, refined carbohydrates, and excessive saturated fat. Lutein and zeaxanthin. Benefits for eye health. The egg yolk contains two important carotenoids, lutein and zeaxanthin. These compounds accumulate in the retina, particularly in the macula, the area responsible for central vision. They function as antioxidants and help protect the eye from oxidative stress caused by light exposure. Research suggests that higher dietary intake of lutein and zeaxanthin may be associated with improved markers of macular health and may reduce the risk of age-related macular degeneration. Egg yolk is not the richest source of these carotenoids compared with dark green vegetables such as spinach and kale, but the form found in eggs may have good bioavailability because it is naturally packaged with fat. This is an important nutritional point. The amount of a nutrient in a food is not the same as the amount the body can absorb and use. The cooking question. Does heat destroy valuable nutrients? The way eggs are prepared influences their nutritional profile. Lutein and zeaxanthin are relatively stable compared with some other vitamins, but heat, oxygen exposure, and prolonged cooking can alter carotenoids and other nutrients to varying degrees. The idea that these compounds are completely destroyed above a specific temperature, such as 56 degrees Celsius, is an oversimplification. Nutrient degradation depends on several factors: temperature, cooking duration, exposure to oxygen, presence of fats, cooking method. Gentle cooking methods generally expose eggs to less heat and less oxidation than high-temperature frying. This raises an important question. Could soft-boiled or lightly cooked eggs offer a better nutritional balance than heavily cooked eggs? This issue will be explored further in Part 2. End of Part 1. Part 2. Cooking methods, raw egg risks, and the question of how much is too much. The nutritional value of an egg does not exist independently of how it is prepared, what foods accompany it, and the health condition of the person consuming it. The difference between a gently cooked egg and a heavily cooked egg may not transform it from a healthy food into an unhealthy one, but cooking methods can influence nutrient retention, digestibility, and the formation of certain compounds. Soft-boiled eggs versus fried and scrambled eggs. Among common cooking methods, soft boiling and poaching are often considered gentler approaches because they expose the egg to relatively moderate heat and do not require additional fats. A soft-boiled egg retains much of its original nutritional structure. The proteins are denatured enough to improve digestibility. The yolk remains relatively protected from prolonged heat exposure. Oxidation of fats is limited. Heat-sensitive nutrients may experience less degradation. Frying, on the other hand, typically involves higher temperatures. When eggs are fried at high heat, several changes may occur. Some oxidation of fats can take place. Prolonged heating can reduce certain sensitive nutrients. The addition of cooking oils can alter the overall fatty acid profile of the meal. Scrambled eggs vary greatly depending on preparation. A gently scrambled egg cooked slowly at lower temperatures is very different from eggs cooked rapidly over high heat until dry. Therefore, the nutritional difference is not simply scrambled versus boiled. The important variables are cooking temperature, cooking time, degree of browning, exposure to air and oxygen. A reasonable interpretation of the evidence is that gentle cooking methods, such as soft boiling, poaching, or low-temperature scrambling, may preserve more nutritional value compared with prolonged high-temperature cooking. What happens to lutein and zeaxanthin during cooking? Lutein and zeaxanthin are often discussed in relation to eye health, and some concern has been raised that heat may damage these compounds. Carotenoids are generally more heat-stable than many water-soluble vitamins, but they are not completely unaffected by cooking. Excessive heat and oxidation can cause some degradation. However, cooking creates an interesting nutritional paradox. While excessive heat may reduce some nutrients, cooking can also increase the body's ability to absorb certain compounds by breaking down the food structure. Egg yolk already contains fat, and this fat helps improve absorption of fat-soluble carotenoids such as lutein and zeaxanthin. Therefore, the question is not simply, does cooking destroy nutrients? The better question is, does cooking create a better balance between nutrient preservation, safety, and absorption? A lightly cooked egg may provide a compromise, sufficient heat to improve digestibility and safety, while avoiding unnecessary prolonged exposure to high temperatures. How raw eggs, the safety and nutritional concerns. Some people consume raw eggs because they believe this preserves nutrients. However, raw eggs present several concerns. The most well-known risk is salmonella contamination. Salmonella bacteria can be present on the outer shell or, less commonly, inside the egg itself. Infection can cause gastrointestinal illness and may be more serious in vulnerable groups, including young children, older adults, pregnant women, and individuals with weakened immune systems. Commercial egg production practices, refrigeration and hygiene controls reduce the risk, but they do not eliminate it completely. Cooking eggs until the white and yolk are sufficiently heated greatly reduces the risk of salmonella infection, raw egg white, and biotin absorption. Another nutritional issue with raw eggs involves a protein called avidin. Avidin is found in egg white and can bind to biotin, a B vitamin involved in energy metabolism, fatty acid synthesis, nervous system function. When eggs are cooked, avidin is denatured and loses much of its ability to bind biotin. Occasional consumption of raw eggs is unlikely to cause a deficiency in a person with an adequate diet, but regular consumption of large amounts of raw egg white could theoretically interfere with biotin availability. Cooking also improves protein digestibility. The body can absorb and utilize cooked egg protein more efficiently than raw egg protein. How many eggs should a person eat? The question of a daily or weekly maximum does not have a single universal answer. Older dietary advice often recommended strict limits because of concerns about cholesterol. More recent research has moved away from a one-size-fits-all approach. For many healthy people, moderate egg consumption, often interpreted as around 1 egg per day, appears compatible with a healthy dietary pattern. However, the evidence becomes less straightforward in certain groups, particularly people with diabetes, people with established cardiovascular disease, individuals with genetically high cholesterol, people whose overall diet is already high in saturated fat and processed foods. Rather than focusing only on the number of eggs, nutritional researchers increasingly consider the complete dietary pattern. An egg eaten as part of a diet rich in vegetables, legumes, whole grains, nuts, and healthy fats is a different nutritional scenario from an egg consumed alongside processed meats and refined carbohydrates. The egg debate in perspective. Eggs represent an interesting example of how nutrition science evolves. They contain potential benefits: high-quality complete protein, essential amino acids, choline for brain and cellular function, vitamin B12, selenium, iodine, lutein, and zeaxanthin for eye health, affordability, and convenience. Potential concerns: high cholesterol content, individual variation in cholesterol response, possible TMAO-related concerns through choline metabolism, reduced nutrient quality with excessive high-temperature cooking, salmonella risk when consumed raw or inadequately cooked. The scientific picture does not support viewing eggs as either completely beneficial or inherently harmful. The health impact of eggs depends on the interaction between the egg itself, cooking method, the rest of the diet, and the individual's metabolic health. Conclusion: a food that requires context, not simplification. The egg remains one of the most nutritionally concentrated foods available. Its protein quality, micronutrient content, and presence of important compounds such as choline, lutein, and zeaxanthin make it a valuable food for many people. At the same time, concerns about cholesterol, TMAO formation, and cooking-related changes deserve consideration, particularly among individuals with specific health risks. The evidence suggests that the question is not simply whether eggs are good or bad. The more scientifically accurate question is, how do eggs fit into an individual's overall nutritional pattern, health status, and dietary choices? Ultimately, the decision to include eggs in the diet should be based on a balanced understanding of the evidence, rather than on either unquestioned enthusiasm or outright rejection. And
the author has placed this work in the public domain. It may be freely imported, exported, shared, distributed, edited, modified, or reformatted without explicit consent from the author. As a visually impaired person, the author asserts his rights under the Marrakesh Treaty to facilitate access to published works for persons who are blind, visually impaired, or otherwise print disabled. 2013, wipo.int. How to attend AZLAN ADNAN's Meet the Author Luncheon at the Hungry Tapir, 135 Petaling Street, Kuala Lumpur. Short walking distance from the Pasar Seni MRT LRT station from 12:30 hours, Saturday, 5th September 2026.
Step 1. Download all my 30+ books on nutrition for free from Z Library using this URL. However, there is a limit of 10 downloads a day from Z Library. The workaround is to download them, and 2,250 plus others, from my Optimal Health Community Telegram broadcast channel at EPUB Electronic Publishing. All my free ebooks are published in .EPUB electronic publishing format. If you are still living in the dark ages and only know .PDF, portable document format, and never heard of .EPUB, don't worry. You are about to have a mind-blowing experiential learning journey. If you use an Apple device, .EPUB files open in the Books app. If you are an Android user, use Universal Book Reader or a similar app. If you need further instructions on how to read .EPUB documents, just ask your favorite AI app to teach you. If you have never used an AI app before, start with Grok, Gemini, or ChatGPT. Then move on to DeepSeek, Claude, or Kling later.
Step 2. I have put all my books in the public domain, and you may share them freely. In fact, I strongly implore you to do so. Viralize them, make sure they reach every person who needs the knowledge contained in them. In Malaysia, the most recent data from the National Health and Morbidity Survey 2023 shows that 21.8% of adults are obese and 32.6% are overweight. This means the total combined rate is 54.4% of adults. Scary huge percentages of Malaysians are diabetic or suffer from other non-communicable diseases, NCDs. To be specific, in Malaysia, about 15.5% of adults have chronic kidney disease, CKD, up from 9.1% in 2011. Around 21.4% of adults aged 30 and above are at high risk of cardiovascular disease, CVD. Among older adults, about 8.5% have dementia, equating to roughly 260,000 people as of 2022. A nation is only as strong as its human capital. How strong can a nation be if more than half its population is fat, sick, and nearly dead? Of what good can you be to your family if you are fat, sick, and nearly dead? You owe it to yourself to be the best version of yourself that you can possibly be.
Step 3. Read the books. Follow whatever advice that makes sense to you. If something doesn't make sense to you, or causes cognitive dissonance, you can ask me clarifying questions on the 5th of September. Also, be prepared to report on the 5th of September what improvements in your health you have noticed. So far, one person has seen her total cholesterol level drop from always above 5 to 4.6. Another has resolved a chronic constipation issue. I have written 2 books on human stool classification and stool analysis. Another person who wakes up every morning with a white layer of mucus on her tongue for more than half her life now wakes up with a clear tongue. Step 4. Make the minimum donation by the required dates. The longer you prevaricate, the higher the minimum donation gets. Minimum donation per pax: 100 ringgit for donations received by June 30th, 150 ringgit for donations received by July 31st, 200 ringgit for donations received by August 31st, 500 ringgit for donations received by the 5th of September and for walk-ins. Places are limited. However, I do not wish to deprive anyone. If enough people register, we can take over the whole restaurant, so make your donations early to reserve your place. Purpose: your donations will go towards sponsoring persons with disability, PWD, to attend the event, and also towards my various ongoing eye treatments. Sponsorship: if you run a business and wish to promote your business, you can sponsor door gifts, gift vouchers, or even cash.
A writer and researcher in nutrition science, AZLAN has authored dozens of books on plant-based bioactives, antioxidants, and the chemistry of whole foods. In this session, he will lead a dynamic Ask Me Anything on nutrition session. All 30 of his nutrition books are in the public domain and are downloadable at the link below. Attendees must read these books in advance and come prepared with their questions. This is a singular chance to engage with one of today's leading independent nutrition thinkers. Don't miss it. A healthy, whole food, plant-based lunch with the menu curated by ADNAN will be served. No need to write your name in the reference of the bank transfer, as it will automatically be displayed, but include your phone number in case we need to contact you for any last-minute changes.
We will also celebrate AZLAN's 68th birthday.
Some of you have been wondering why a YouTube channel devoted to green political philosophy and ideology would address health issues. The stark facts are these. Data from the National Health and Morbidity Survey in Malaysia 2023 shows that 54.4% of adults are either overweight or obese, with 32.6% classified as overweight and 21.8% as obese. Abdominal obesity, per Roy, was also reported at 54.5%. Compared to 2011, the combined prevalence of overweight and obesity has increased from 44.5% to 54.4%. According to the same survey, 15.6% of adults in Malaysia have been diagnosed with diabetes, kencing manis. Additionally, about 21.4% of Malaysian adults aged 30 and above have a high 10-year calculated risk of developing cardiovascular disease, CVD, sakit jantung. In Malaysia, precise prevalence data for diagnosed CVD is somewhat limited. Data from 2010 to 2021 indicated that 16.6% of all registered deaths were due to CVD. A 2015 survey found that 14.1% of working-age adults had diabetes, 24.5% had hypertension, and 45.9% had high cholesterol. The World Heart Federation also noted in 2022 that around 11% of deaths in Malaysia are linked to CVD. In 2011, the prevalence of chronic kidney disease, CKD, sakit buah pinggang, was 9.07%. A nationwide study in Malaysia in 2018 estimated that 15.48% of adults, over 5 million people, have CKD. It really is alarming. These numbers are striking, especially when you consider how rapidly they have grown over just a decade. It is a massive public health challenge. In light of these statistics, the implications for nation building and capacity building are stark. What value does a nation have if more than half its population are fat, sick, and nearly dead?
Are you fat, sick, and nearly dead? Well, if you think you're overwhelmed, you don't know where to start with this book. And then as you progress, you can, go deeper, take a deep dive into the other books. And if you want to meet me to discuss what you've read in the books, you have a chance in September to do so. However, there are 5 places already been taken up, and there are limited seats, so the sooner you register, the sooner you will reserve a place for yourself. Attendance is by donation, so details are in the video.
Important note on event registration fees. Normal registration. Donation received between the 1st and the 31st of August 2026. Minimum donation of 200 ringgits. Late registration. Donation received between 1st to 5th September 2026. Minimum donation of 500 ringgits. All proceeds after deducting third-party costs will go towards AZLAN ADNAN's various ongoing eye treatments to hopefully reverse or at least arrest his macular degeneration, cataracts, photophobia, mydriasis, dry eyes, and etc. This is mission critical as, if his vision fails, he'll no longer be able to produce, edit, or upload videos. Your voluntary contributions and donations are a critical success factor. As such, your generosity, empathy, compassion, and kindness are well and truly appreciated. We thank you in advance for your invaluable help and assistance in making this event a resounding success.
About the author. AZLAN ADNAN, M.A., is a writer and independent researcher whose work focuses on nutrition science, food systems, and the biological foundations of human health. His writing examines how natural foods contain complex compounds that interact with human physiology in ways that may support long-term well-being. He has a particular interest in plant-based bioactive compounds such as polyphenols, carotenoids, flavonoids, and other phytochemicals found in fruits, vegetables, herbs, spices, algae, and fungi. His research explores how these compounds function in plants and how they may influence human nutrition when consumed as part of a balanced diet. AZLAN approaches nutrition from a multidisciplinary perspective, drawing on biochemistry, plant biology, and public health nutrition. His work aims to translate complex scientific concepts into clear explanations so that readers can better understand the nutritional value of everyday foods. He is the author of several books examining natural sources of antioxidants and other dietary compounds. Author of the Antioxidant series, Antioxidants in Herbs and Spices, Antioxidants in Algae, Microalgae, and Fungi, Antioxidants in Fruits and Vegetables, Antioxidants in Nuts and Seeds, Antioxidants in Berries. Author of the Nutrient series, Macronutrients, Volume 1, Carbohydrates, Macronutrients, Volume 2, Lipids, Macronutrients, Volume 3, Proteins, Micronutrients, Vitamins, Trace Elements, and Minerals, Anti-nutrients, the hidden blockers in your food, Phytonutrients, the quiet power of plants, Water, the forgotten fourth, a macronutrient you can't ignore. Other books on health and nutrition. To Robert's briefing paper, 2nd edition. AZLAN's 5-Powder Manifesto. Eating the Greek Way, how cultural habits support health without trying. Ideology on a Plate, how Robert F. Kennedy Jr. turned U.S. dietary guidelines into a scientific farce. Maslow in 2026, a practical guide to actual needs, not scrollable wishes. These works form part of an ongoing series exploring the chemistry, biological roles, and nutritional significance of bioactive compounds in plant foods. Through his writing, AZLAN advocates a practical food-first approach to nutrition. His work emphasizes whole foods, dietary diversity, and balanced eating patterns, rather than reliance on isolated nutrients or supplements. He holds a Master of Arts in International Business and Management from the University of Westminster in London, and writes extensively on nutrition science, health, and food-based approaches to long-term well-being. AZLAN ADNAN, the quiet revolutionary of real food writing. AZLAN ADNAN, M.A., is a Malaysian polymath who spent decades turning food into philosophy. Raw, unfiltered, no hype. You won't find him pushing superfoods or miracle diets. He dissects what actually works. Whole plants, spices, microbes, and the quiet chemistry that keeps bodies humming. With over 30 books, self-published, shared freely on Z-Library, Facebook groups, Telegram channels, AZLAN's output is prolific. Part manifesto, part manual. Early works like Spring Has Sprung, a psychological thriller, and travelogues on the road to the East Coast reveal his roots in journalism, advertising, and storytelling. But nutrition became his mission. Educated with a Master of Arts in International Business and Management from the University of Westminster, London, he taught at the School of Management, Royal Holloway, London, while pursuing doctoral research in business strategy and environmental management, specializing in the international timber trade. That academic backbone, rigor, systems thinking, sustainability, bleeds into his food writing. No fluff, just evidence. The core series, the Macronutrients Trilogy, Volume 1 on carbohydrates, glucose, fiber, metabolism, Volume 2 on lipids, fats, omega-3s, inflammation, Volume 3 on proteins, repair, enzymes, muscle. Then micronutrients, water, and anti-nutrients, the plant world's double-edged sword. Anti-nutrients are naturally occurring compounds in whole foods, phytates, oxalates, lectins, goitrogens, that can bind minerals, block enzymes, or mess with absorption. They evolved as plant defenses, but in us, they steal iron from spinach, calcium from kale, or spike gut irritation from raw beans. Variety wins. 30 plants a week, not monodiets. Raw's romantic, but cooked smarter. Add spice blends like AZLAN's 5-powder manifesto, turmeric mixes for real anti-inflammation, and you've got a library that says, eat wide, not weird. Why release it all into the public domain? Because knowledge isn't currency. It's oxygen. AZLAN watched corporations gatekeep health, paywalls on papers, patented supplements, proprietary blends that hide what works. He refuses. His books aren't for sale. They're for spread. No DRM, no ads, no ego. Just files anyone can download, print, share. He says it plain. If one person in a kampong swaps white rice for brown or steams kailan instead of boiling it, that's the win, not royalties. He's no gatekeeper. His Facebook, AZLAN Green Party, Instagram, and YouTube drop bite-sized truths. Traffic light WFPB guides, eye health talks on lutein, vegan journeys. He credits tradition, curries, forest mushrooms, seaweed from tides, and lives it. Unpeeled carrots, home ferments, no moralizing. 30-plus titles aren't about volume, they're depth. Carbs to phytonutrients, water to gut bugs. AZLAN doesn't sell health, he hands you the tools. Read him and your plate changes. Not because you're broken, because you're built for better.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to show your support. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel to show your support.